How can grief rewire a brain? What benefits come from balancing dreams with realism? Why is it never too late to begin the creative life you've always craved? This cosmic transmission comes from Liv Masett, a melody miner from Dublin, Ireland. Here, she discusses her first few professional steps as a musician through the lens of her latest single, Almost There.
I guess the beginnings of my musical, artistic performance journey started when I was very young. I remember being in a school play when I lived in London. I was born in London. And the play was about me. I was a little girl playing in a playground and I fell off a swing and I cut my knee. And the rest of the play was me telling fibs, telling lies about how I cut my knee. Every scene was like a different kind of outrageous scenario that I came up with. And I remember that being so fun. I must have been like 7 or something. But yeah, I was always, I think theater, musical theater was the beginning. I was a bit of a theater kid. And in secondary school, I was always kind of interested in that. I was a Rizzo in my school's production of Grease. And yeah, that led me then to studying drama and film in university. And yeah, music was always there in my home. My mom was Brazilian, so samba was big. My dad, he loved rock and roll, and was always kind of pushing that side of things. So I had quite a broad musical spectrum in my house. Dad was all Rory Gallagher, he's the only true rock star, and was always showing me old YouTube clips of guitar riffs, and I was 11 being Dad, shut up. But yeah, music was always kind of encouraged and fostered in my home. But I only really began kind of exploring writing myself kind of in college. I suffer from perfectionism. So I just kind of, for so long, I was paralyzed by the idea of I'll do it when, only when. And then I think I hit a point where I just kind of realized, this when I am a better this, that, the other. It just became clear to me that I'd be waiting forever and ever. So yeah, I only this year when I released Bitter, my first song, that was kind of an exercise for me in just doing the thing and not worrying too much about the outcome. Almost as an exercise in you can do this. And yeah, I did it. And here we are.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Do you think there was a big mindset shift after you did release that song?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, it's kind of a weird thing, and I'm very much learning as I go. But when you release something, I've learned, and I'm learning now in the process of releasing my next song, I love the process. I love the beginnings. I love the beginning, the middle, and then the end is just kind of like a necessity. And then past the end, it's actually quite difficult for me to promote and kind of push this thing that I made out into the world. I love the process, which I think a lot of people would say is the most important part. And learning to love the process is where you can find the joy in any creative pursuit. But yeah, that's what's been the delicious part for me. And I need to learn, I guess, to I don't know, back myself a little bit more afterwards, and say, hello world, this is what I made, I hope you like it. But then also find that balance between like, showing the world and then not worrying too much about what the world thinks. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about the process? Is it writing or?
Yeah, I love seeing things come together. When I work with my producer Matthew, I think I come in with a seed, and he grows the garden. He helps me grow the garden. And I think collaboration has been the catalyst for me actually making things, because before, I'm an only child. I'm so kind of insular in the way that I am creatively, and for a long time I was so insecure and so uncertain that I could ever do anything. That collaboration was what really changed things for me and made things happen. So I'd say going into the room with Matthew with the bones of an idea, 4 chords and a melody and some lyrics, and then building a world around it in a day, usually, couple hours, and then that just being there in real time and seeing the seed bloom is the best part, and getting excited and looking at each other and going, oh, this is I really like this is great. And then I think and then that kind of snowballs into, what am I, when I listen to this, what am I seeing visually? And then you start thinking about the visuals that are going to go alongside the music, and again it's building the world. Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that, because the visuals for Bitter were very intentional and they set this clear and immediate tone. And for a first release, that's incredible. I mean, from my perspective, it seemed like you knew exactly what you wanted from the get-go. But was that the reality of it, or?
No. Well, I was very on the fly. I was figuring it out as I went, but I was enjoying that. Like I was, there was no shame in that. I kind of, I went with the lemon theme, but again, it kind of started as, when I went to Matthew with this song, it was quite angry. A lot of my writing is cathartic when I'm in the throes of grief, whether that be like romantic as it was with Bitter, or kind of any other relationship in my life. Whenever I'm like processing anything, I feel so, it just feels really natural to channel that into lyricism. So I arrived and it was an angry song about like things never working out for me, and why me? And then at the end of the day, it sounded so, it's quite an upbeat, like, well, it's bittersweet, like, it sounds quite happy for quite a sad song, which I really liked, because I think if I hadn't collaborated with someone else, it would have gone a completely different direction. And I'm really glad it went in the direction that it did, because it almost kind of highlighted to me a different sentiment that I hadn't really realized. It was leaning into the whole like, yeah, I'm not perfect. Things don't work out for me all the time, and I'm human. I still smoke, even though I'm trying to quit, and that's okay. And yeah, I really liked the way that it turned out. And then, though that sentiment was then reflected in the visuals, it's very warm. It was a summer song, and I was just kind of like following the way that things went. I wasn't I didn't have a vision when I sat down to write those lyrics, and it ended up somewhere I wasn't expecting, but I was really like happy.
That's great. It's a true creative process.
Yeah.
It's an exploration of something. You're not just coming in with this preformed idea and never deviating from that.
Yeah.
And I think also contrast is key. It always offers more humanity to what you're making. Like if it's a one-dimensional analysis of something, it can come off as quite inaccessible.
Yeah.
And it's interesting listening to the song and those lyrics. I suppose to your point, it doesn't come off as a sad song. Like all great art, it's really complex and it has this depth to it. And I suppose it sounds like elements of that are coming from this collaboration.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that I really benefited from that collaboration. The artwork was taken by Kate Lawler, Daisy Jane's Photos. She's amazing, and she's done the artwork for my next single, and the visuals for that too. And I think, again, like I went to her with the seed, and she helped grow the garden in that sense. And I've made like friends along the way. Miles Kyo, he did the music video for Bitter, and I don't know. I'm quite good at. I think my lack of experience has actually it's served me because I go in and I'm really open to what these other creatives have to offer, and I'm quite trusting. Maybe that'll change. I hope it doesn't, because if I went in and I said I want ABC, like with a very rigid mindset, I don't know. I think it can kind of suffocate the process. And if there's room to move, if there's malleability, yeah, and people can contribute. I don't know. I always think it works out for the best. That way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I mean, that's a very
It's a really acute insight because I feel like a common theme is wanting to do everything yourself,
Yeah.
and it takes a lot of work to shed that instinct and have faith in sharing the responsibility of an idea with other people,
Yeah.
because the presence of another person always offers you a more objective perspective,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is great. And so, I hope you don't lose that. I don't think you will, because it seems like it's your instinct to want to get more people involved in that process. And so, yeah, it sounds like you're starting in a really healthy place.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I still do. Obviously, independent artists still like do a huge amount themselves, and it's bleeding exhausting. Like it's quite. But again, that comes with time, and you build a team of people, and you like. I think I'll probably get Kate to do all my artwork. I love working with her. It's a breeze, and I always am so happy with the end result. And I think that's great. Like finding those relationships that work. When I go into the studio with Matthew, I've never gone in and gotten stuck. And when you find something that works, like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's so nice, and you feel, it's pretty fulfilling. It's lovely. Like it's just I think it's enjoyable for everyone involved. For my next single, I actually I had the beginnings of a girl band in first year college when I was 19, and the guitar was written by our friend Michaela, and it was just kind of like it's something I look back so fondly on that time, even though nothing came of the band. Well, I think a lot came out of it, and it's so nice that kind of that memory from a good few years ago is now still a part of what I'm doing now. And just that, like, all these, collaborations, and it's like having a laugh. It's like playing with your friends, and it's amazing what can come out of just going into something without worrying too much about the outcome. And like the bones of that song started 6 years ago. So it's so nice that there's kind of an ode to that
incredible.
period of my life
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Why don't we listen to the song?
Yeah.
Because then we can keep talking about it, and because I love it. It's such an interesting evolution on your sound.
It's going a different direction, but I'm happy with the direction it's going.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I know your name. I know your game, and I've got nothing to lose. I know you're tired.
Such a great song.
I love how it ends. I love that it's just boom, dum, put a bet. We weren't sure about how to end it, and I was like, no, like just like give it 4 bars and then boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
yeah.
I love the layering of your voice is so, like, there's an element of that in Bitter as well, and it's just adds a, I don't know, it just works with your sound or something like that, and it really those moments inject maybe a little bit as well of like the moments of like 3-dimensional like emotion. It's just like an injection of emotion in those moments.
Yeah, especially I love kind of echoes. It's just kind of like, hey, like let's emphasize what's going on here. Yeah, I think it packs that little extra punch. But yeah, no, I'm buzzing. I love that song. And I think that's always, I try to whenever I'm feeling insecurity or doubt or anything creep in, I kind of like to strip it down to kind of like, yeah, I really like it. And that's kind of like
That's all that matters.
the most important thing, and I'm proud of it. So yeah.
It's great. It's so great.
talk a little bit about the process of making it. Did you have lyrics that you brought to Matthew, or did you work on them together, or?
So the chorus, as you brush your hand across her lower back, that started in the girl band when we were 19 phase. And yeah, I literally I had like a phone recording of us playing that in Michaela's living room. And yeah, I always just kind of like, it was always in the back of my mind of like, I really like that phrase. I really like the way that sounded.
It's such a good image.
I think it really encapsulates I think the song as a whole is it conveys that like desire for connection. And yeah, it's a lot of, I think a lot of the music that I write is about my faults, I guess, or just how difficult it is, like being a human and feeling feeling things and experiencing life. And that's quite evident in this song. It's all about like, just getting ahead of yourself and getting caught up and thinking, getting too excited, romanticizing things. And then when they don't work out, falling apart, like even if nothing's begun just yet. And I think it's very personal, but I don't really know how to do it any other way. All my lyrics are quite, I bear it all, and I'm like that in my life. I'm an open book, as I said to you before. So, I've had people say to me after Bitter, like, "Oh, I really liked how honest your lyrics were. Like it was so brave." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much, but I had no intention of being brave. That's kind of just the way that I am." Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. Yes, yeah.
What's great, I mean, your art is a reflection of who you are, and you're being authentically you. And I think
Yeah.
that's what makes it so, again, going back to like this, the sense of like a
confident voice, and as an audience member, that's what comes across is authenticity and honesty. And you can just feel that, like, the lyrics are one thing, but the sense that this is a person who's actually doing introspective work to like mold and create something that's going to represent them in a true way.
Yeah.
I think, that's what I mean when I say, like, when I first heard Bitter and then you sent me this song, there was that same sense that
work is being done and the same thing is being captured. Like,
Yeah.
Even though it might have a different energy to it or like a different pacing tempo, well, the specifics might be different, but that stayed the same, I think.
Yes. Well, that's great, because I'm still in my attempt to avoid perfectionism. I haven't gotten too caught up in who I am too much just yet, as in like from a genre point of view. I just I I kind of strip it back. I write about what I'm feeling, what's going on in that moment, and then develop it with other people and see where it goes, and kind of like honor the process in that way. And that may lead to some, I'm not quite sure who I am just yet, but I think if I was worried too much about that, I never would have started. And that kind of, I don't know, I don't want to pigeonhole myself just yet. And I think with time and with, confidence and experience, then maybe I'll be able to hone the vision to, more specifics. And maybe I'll find like elements that I'm like, oh, I like that. I'd like that thread to go throughout. But I guess like lyrically, like the way I write lyrics and like melodies, how I sing, I'd say that's kind of like a thread that's begun. But I think if I get too caught up on like who I'm trying to sound like or what a specific sound I'm trying to make, it'll stilt things, it'll...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any reason to necessarily try and even, I mean, there's definitely purpose to try and like explore a voice and refine something that
Yeah.
is just being honest. But like, you should never really try and label yourself or pigeonhole yourself. I mean, it's like that. I think the second you do that, it's like the second you've stopped exploring, which is like, which is the whole point. Like, we're talking about play. Like,
Yeah.
that's the point of the game, is to be like, what happens next? Who's going to win? Like, like, if you just knew exactly what's going to happen, like, and you could just be like, this is the game, and this is exactly how it's going to go, and this is how I play it.
Yeah.
It's boring. Like, you just lose interest in it. Like,
Yeah.
so I think all those elements, like that, all this understanding is so, I mean, you have a lifetime of being creative. Do you know what I mean? Like, this didn't happen yesterday. It's just now it's taking the form of like songs you're releasing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And sometimes I beat myself up about starting too late. And I try to catch myself in those moments, just because I think I needed to experience what I've experienced to begin here. I think if I started when I was in my late teens, I think it would have been different. I think I would have been coming from a different place, a place of insecurity, a place of worrying so much about how everything would be received. But I do think that just kind of like my life led me to this point, and like this it was meant to be this way. I really do think that like grief rewired my brain. I like, when I lost my mom 3 years ago, I literally hit rock bottom, and I think rock bottom gave me an opportunity to look at things differently. It's kind of, you're so caught up in other things, in everything. The important things have been reframed for me. Do you know, I came out of that, and I think like grief gave me a gift in my perspective change. And I think if I hadn't gone through that, and that period of suffering, I wouldn't have come out the other end with this voice and with this ability to, I don't know, just take a step back and look at the bigger picture. That's what grief does. It makes you take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And now I'm a lot more free to just explore and not worry about the little things, and the little things being, oh, this is embarrassing, this hurts, this is vulnerable. Because when you've known like how bad it can be, it just seems like you've climbed the biggest mountain. I think I've climbed one of the biggest mountains I ever will in my life. And I'm actually kind of grateful for that, in a weird way. And I think now everything else seems like a little bit more achievable.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of that's like the beauty of like creativity as well. It's like,
Yeah.
people can have it in other ways in their life, but like, you have been able to take that whole experience in a way, and not just have it like, change your perspective, or like have a positive like shift in how you think and how you are, but also like you can then package that up and share it with other people, and
Yeah.
something that's like consumable and can make them feel something,
Mm.
which again is the beauty of like art, like in that way. I think it's really interesting to have moments like that as an artist you're able to like, obviously after a certain amount of time, like, of processing, channel into something, and like, create from that place is really,
It's amazing. Like all of the songs I've written to date have come from a place of some pain, but it's so amazing to look at what's come out of it and realize that, like, it wasn't all for nothing. Do you know? This song, Almost There, is, it's a little bit kind of like, it's from a its beginnings are from a different period in my life, but it's still about like the grief of losing, more the idea of someone, and I look at the finished product, quote unquote, now, and it's so nice to see that transformation. And my next release is the first song that I tackled, or kind of like approached the subject of the grief of losing my mum. And I'll never forget, it was I went over to London to record with Matthew, and the first day we did Almost There, and the second day we did No One Compares, and I went into him and I said, okay, it's gonna be sad. And he was like, okay. And I was like, it's gonna be dead mum sad. He was like, okay, that's fine. And it was, I was really nervous. I was it was something I hadn't, it was a wound I hadn't like touched yet. And but it was just so special, and it was so amazing. Poor Matthew, I cried, and he was lovely about it, and like it was just really cathartic. And I knew that like my mum would be so proud, and it was such an amazing way to process everything. And again, I think what I love about writing music is like capturing a moment, capturing a feeling. I try really hard to capture a feeling. Almost There, it's like, I had all these aspirations for this future with someone, and I got caught up in it, and I'm such a hopeless romantic, and it didn't mean as much to them as I thought. And it's all about that heart dropping moment of, oh no, like it's not going to work out, and that kind of embarrassment of, oh, you got caught up in it, and why does this always happen, kind of. And I think that desire for connection, I really wanted to capture that in Almost There. And with Bitter, it was that kind of, I don't get over things. Like, why can't I process things and like be a normal person and not feel so deeply? That's like I think that'll be a theme across my music forever, just because I'm so emotional. I feel things so deeply. And with Bitter, it was like, yeah, I feel things so deeply and I never get over things, or it just takes so long. But you know what? That's just the way I am. And I think that was freeing as well. And then with No One Compares, I think, I'm not quite sure yet what it captures. I mean, I think it captures that kind of sadness and like despair of not having someone there, but also looking back and remembering really fondly all of the time that we did have. And it's quite, it's a journey. It's kind of, there's a beginning, middle, end to that song. But yeah, I love capturing feelings.
Yeah. And so when is No One Compares lined up to come out?
That'll be probably end of October, beginning of November, I'd say. Depending on how the visuals come together.
Awesome.
Because, yeah, as I say, I'm learning as I go with this whole music thing. Like, it's not like it used to be. You can't just write a song, record it, and release it. Like, there's so much. But I'm trying not to view it as a burden. I think it is another kind of creative outlet. It's really enjoyable. Like, finding a visual element that goes along with the music. And I really enjoyed it for Almost There. I had to stick my head out of Michaela's car window, and Kate recorded me from the backseat. We were like driving up and down the N11 on a Sunday night, because we were hoping it wasn't going to be like that busy. But it was kind of exposure therapy, like the amount of weird looks I got. And I felt so sick towards the end, because I'm going to release a visualizer, and there's a moment in it where Michaela just did like loops of a roundabout, and it looks amazing. But I just felt so car sick afterwards. But yeah, I was really happy. And I guess I think I have no money to like make these things, but it's amazing when you have a simple idea and you have great people on board, you can make some pretty powerful imagery for little to nothing. And that's been really interesting, trying to see what I can do for nothing, basically.
It's great.
Yeah.
Do you think, are these, I maybe haven't thought about this yet,
Mm.
but is there a plan of like an EP to like bring all these songs together, or?
I guess, yeah, I think I haven't been getting too caught up in that. I think I want to get through this year and just have those 3 singles out. And I think I have the guts of an EP probably, but I'm not sure whether I'll include all 3 singles on the EP. I think that'll be in my mind, it's kind of a 2026. January, I'll sit down and think about how I'd like to put an EP together, because I want to be, these songs have been an exercise in like, just do it, Olivia. Like just don't think too much about it. And put your foot in the door and like, hello world, this is me. Whereas I think I'll have the confidence, and I'll have played a couple gigs and kind of, yeah, I think next year it'll be a case of, okay, how do I want to, I don't know, I want to tell a story a little bit. If I were to do an EP, I want to be intentional with it. I think I have the bones of like intro and outro songs. I just want to kind of, I want to be a bit more intentional about the story and the progression of the story with the songs. And again, genre-wise, I'm a bit all over the place at the moment. But again, I'm okay with that, because I'd rather be a little bit all over the place and writing consistently than like stagnant, because I'm trying to put myself into a box. So yeah, I'm just writing, and yeah, I don't want to get too caught up with what that will be just yet. But it's definitely a goal of mine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's great. I think that's the right way to do it as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Talk about gigs a little bit, just because when was the last time you would have performed music before releasing Bitter?
Oh my God. 2019, I played Electric Picnic with Molly Donnery, fabulous musician, and Matthew Harris, and a couple of other of our friends. We like put together a covers band. We were in college. But that would have been, we did a couple gigs like in that band. We played Whelan's EP, and then we did Body and Soul. And yeah, that was gas. Like, I felt very kind of like, what am I doing here? Like, I didn't consider myself a musician really at that point. But yeah, so it's been a good few years. I was weirdly, well, before the last gig I played was EP this year, which was fabulous. I really enjoyed myself, and it was really nice. I was really uncertain and quite nervous before. I remember I FaceTimed Molly like 3 weeks before the gig, being like, I can't do it. I was in floods of tears, and I was just like, no, you can take my slot. And she was like, can you give it a day? Can you relax, and can you give it a day? And I relaxed, and I gave it a day. And my dad gave me the advice of, you're doing this all by yourself. Like, why don't you try and get a band together? Why don't you try and play with people? And that was the pivot. That was a pivotal moment, because I was carrying the weight of this kind of like first gig as Liv Masett. Like, this is huge on my shoulders. And so then it went back to that idea of collaboration, that I'm so pro collaboration. I can't believe I didn't think of it, before. But yeah, I reached out. I mean, I know loads of musicians, and I ended up finding a girl band, and I've made friends with these lovely ladies. And again, it came back to that place of play and just having a laugh, and like, whenever we rehearsed in those couple weeks coming up to the gig, it was just such a joy. And it's so nice hearing music that you've made like played live, for those first few times, that bit and almost there in the second verse when the bass comes in. I remember in our first rehearsal hearing that Circle, my bass player, she played it. I was like, oh my God, this is, this is what it's all about. So yeah, I was the nerves disappeared, evaporated, and I just enjoyed myself at that gig. And that's really shifted how I am like feeling about gigs going forward, as like I really want to keep that energy of like this isn't about like proving anything to anyone. It's more about like enjoying playing your music live, because it's such a privilege, and it's kind of like you can't do it like as often. Well, as in I could do it probably very often, strip back just me and the guitar, but there's a magic in especially having a drummer. And it was really hard. I really wanted to have an all girl band, and female drummers are hard to come by, but I found Eve, my drummer, and she's class, and it's just like having everything come together is so worth it, and I want to chase that feeling of just kind of like building a community. And now I have these wonderful musicians who I've found and would now call friends. So yeah, it's just a joy. Like yeah.
Do you think or have you already tried to write with them, or is that still a very you thing and then you bring it to the band?
Yeah, I think I'm so I am a little bit like of a loner when it comes to my writing. I think, well, I no one compares. The next song I'm going to release after Almost There, I wrote with Matthew, and that was really nice actually. So I think I need to get better at writing with other people. Well, I mean, I did write Almost There with Michaela years and years ago, but no, there's definitely a benefit to that. Absolutely. I think like lyrics, I think are to me quite personal. So I don't know if I'm ready just yet to like open that door. Because it's kind of the way I write lyrics is I do morning pages every day, word vomit, and I then kind of treat them as my lyric bank, and any phrases I would look back, and any phrases that kind of jump out to me, I'll start with those. So I guess it's just it's a very like private, personal thing. But musically, like I think I'm open to collaboration like 100%. But the lyrics is basically my diary. So I don't think I want anyone reading my diary just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do the Artist Way, or is the morning pages just something you'd like?
That's well, I haven't started the Artist Way because I'm putting off doing the Artist Way because I know it's going to be a commitment and a half. But I have been doing the morning pages for few months now, and it's brilliant. It's been amazing.
Great.
It's so good for well, I don't know, like I'm getting better at trying to be less of a perfectionist, because even while you're doing it, you're meant to not be thinking about what you're writing, but God, it's hard to do that. I find myself like rhyming because I'm always like trying to write lyrics, and I'm trying to get out of that. I literally just want to have stream of consciousness, but it's actually quite difficult to achieve that state of flow, as they say. But again, it's like a muscle you have to practice. But it is good, and I do like the fact that there's no pressure. I'm really bad at like doing things and not like being okay with like them being bad. Like, that's a whole nother conversation, like whether things are good or bad. But I think it's quite freeing to just write, the word vomit, and you don't have to do anything with it, and it's just there, and you just have to do it every day. And that's been a good exercise for me, I think. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
And who would be your influences? Like, who do you listen to a lot, and who do you love music-wise?
I think, don't they say the music you listen to when you were 14 is like the most formative for you? I was obsessed with the Arctic Monkeys. Yeah. And I love Alex Turner's lyricism. Like, it's so profound, but also like cheeky. It's not that serious. I'd love to lean into that a little bit more and just have, because I think a lot of what I have written is quite serious. And especially something I admire about CMAT as well is just she's having the crack. Like, you can tell she's having a lot of fun with what she's writing about it. It's not that serious, and all art doesn't need to be really profound, and you can have a bit of fun with it. I have one song that I've written that is kind of a bit more silly, and it's called Me Oh My, and I've played it a few times, and it has there's a good response to it, but I'm not quite sure how it would fit within my repertoire. So I'd like to, maybe with the EP, like explore a bit more of a kind of camp side.
Cool.
And just, yeah, again, like, not worry so much about like the image, or, well, I think nowadays it's more like you have to be a brand,
Yeah.
which can be really annoying. But I understand, of course, it makes sense. Like, you have to like create a world for yourself, but sometimes it can restrain you in your creativity, thinking about,
Yeah.
all that.
I think it's kind of like whatever mental framework suits you best in order to think about it and help you make the stuff you want. Because, like, one book I have, I think it's here actually. Yeah, The War on Art, Stephen Pressfield. Have you heard of this?
Mhm.
He's a really good writer on creativity, but one thing he talks about is thinking of yourself as an artist like an athlete, and thinking about how pro athletes treat themselves and treat their lives and what they do, and what, divides an athlete from a pro athlete. It's just an interesting shift of a perspective and framework to think about yourself and how you're working, and, like, how you're doing what you're doing. But how do you find that experience of, I mean, you're talking about having imposter syndrome a while ago, but, like, that experience of now calling yourself a musician and an artist, like, what are things that have helped you come to terms with that sort of title?
I don't know. I think why is it so vulnerable? Like, saying, like, I'm a musician, or like, I'm an artist. Yeah, I guess, like, the more you do it, and the more you practice and, make things, the easier it'll get. Or at least I hope so. Yeah, it's a weird one. I do kind of, like, relate to what you're saying about kind of having so many different avenues I'd like to pursue. It's like the fig tree, Sylvia Plath analogy. It's just, I have so many things that I want to do, like, and then you get overwhelmed, like, and you get decision fatigue, and then you decide to just not do anything at all. So yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know. I do think that the calling myself a musician or an artist will just come with time. And if enough people call you one, like, if you get announced on a stage as one, I guess it just becomes the new normal, I guess.
Yeah. I think action leads to thought. Like, these examples of experiences you're talking about, like performing live and overcoming certain fears or blocks, it builds onto, like, the context of who you think you are, and
Yeah.
how other people perceive you.
Yeah.
And having conversations like these, with other artists sort of fuels the tank a little bit, because sometimes, you can be surrounded by certain people who aren't doing what you're doing and think, like, what the fuck am I at? But again, these conversations always make me, like, appreciate creativity again. You know what I mean?
It can be quite isolating, being around people who don't understand, or it's not that they don't understand. It's just not the world they're living in. And sometimes you can feel a bit stupid, like, or I don't know, yeah, unserious sometimes. Like, especially when I'm around some, like, my cousins are all doctors and lawyers, and I sometimes feel, yeah, like I stick out like a sore thumb. And sometimes that can make you feel like special, but sometimes it can be a bit isolating, you know?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
It always fascinates me, and probably because I love it so much, creativity and art and stuff. And to me, it always seems like the most important thing. Like it seems like the thing sitting at the center of everything. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting to see how often it's like pushed down to seem, like not just like irrelevant, but actually actively unimportant sometimes, when you're speaking to people or having those kind of experiences.
Oh, but there's such a contradiction in Ireland, I think, because it's like Ireland is hailed as this land of saints and scholars, and we have so much amazing art and music coming out of Ireland, but like within Ireland, like artists can't live. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I hope we get the basic income for artists back again. Like there's such a strange contradiction. Like it's like you're kind of praised on one hand for, it's like, oh, that's great, you're doing that, that's brilliant, isn't it? But like, it's not really a job, is it? It's just a hobby, is it? Or yeah,
And it's so hard to convince somebody that something's important when they don't believe it is. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's like being like a religious fanatic. And when I talk to somebody and they don't have Christ in their heart, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like that experience where I'm just like,
Shut up, Christ in your heart.
do you know what I mean though? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
do you listen to music? You watch films. It's like,
But there's an obsession. Like a lot of creative people are obsessive, and I don't think that's always the case with the greater population.
right.
yet.
Yeah. That's a good point.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose it's just trying to arm yourself for those conversations with strong core belief that what you're doing matters, essentially.
I think, yeah, I've had so many moments where I feel really small, and I I had a little gig before EP, a few weeks before EP, and I was just like not in a good way, and I left that feeling so small. And it's so funny how, well, it wasn't funny at the time. I was I was in a state like how in other walks of life, if you make a mistake, it's perhaps more normalized to make a mistake and then just pick yourself up and keep going. But I think because the nature of creativity is so vulnerable, it's when things don't go well, it hurts a lot more, and everything feels like a gamble. And when it doesn't pay off, you just kind of you question everything, and you spiral. And that was when I was spiraling, and I was like, no, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I need to reevaluate everything. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do EP. I'm not going to do it. And I can't remember who, there was some stand-up comedian who said, if you have a bad gig, you're allowed to feel awful about it until 11 a.m. the next morning. And then you just have to forget about it, and you just have to keep going. And I think I probably felt terrible about it for a little bit longer than 11 a.m. the next morning. But I think that you need to kind of hold yourself accountable in that way, and just kind of like set yourself a limit for feeling sorry about yourself, and just, day by day, like just keep going. And and thinking big picture as well is something that I've spoken to a lot of other musicians about, that it's quite paralyzing when you sit and you think big picture, because there's a lot of uncertainty, and yeah, I think it took me a while to get here because I was so big picture orientated. Like I guess because I'm a dreamer in many ways, but I have a lot of like realism in me as well. And I think it's good to have both. Like I think if I was a complete dreamer, maybe I'd stay in dream world and I wouldn't actually like make anything concrete. So I do like that part of myself, but it can be paralyzing. It can be really paralyzing. So you have to break it down into little things. And my mum always said to me, actually, she was like, because she was an artist, she was a ceramicist, she was a painter, she studied fine art, and she was always like, don't get too caught up in the big picture, like take it project by project. And that's been really, really useful for me. You know, it's kind of like song by song, and you know, next year I'll have gained the confidence, and maybe I'll be ready then for the challenge of looking at an EP, you know, a slightly bigger body of work, and then maybe the year after that I might be able to think about an album. But yeah, I think if I like jumped into it and was like, right, okay, what's the stamp, what's the mark I'm gonna make on the world, it would have been like just this gargantuan task, and it would have scared me into submission,
Yeah.
I guess.
I think it's a cool thing
Yeah.
for like life in general. It's just like song by song. Like,
Yeah, project by project, like, you know, absolutely. Yeah, it simplifies things. I think that's like one of the most important like aspects of like this kind of journey that I'm on. It's just like trying to keep it simple and trying to break it into smaller tasks, and also sitting down and being okay with making crap.
Mm.
And like not expecting everything to be wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's great, because you can go in and like, well, I didn't particularly like Bitter actually. Like when I went in to record Bitter, I was like, I don't know. And then I came out of it like really liking it. So I think, again, you know, harping on about collaboration, I do think that like if there's something that you're like, I'm not too sure. If I stayed with that feeling in isolation, I probably wouldn't have done anything with that song. But showing it to other people, and working with other people on it, you know, transformed it into something different.
It's great.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to end. Is there anything else, you know, these lessons that you're putting forth are so insightful. Is there anything else just before we finish?
Learn as you go. Do it as you are now, and figure it out on the way. Do you know, I just think that I think I was saying this to you earlier, I think a lot of women have this kind of built-in perfectionism, and it's hard to do things without a certainty, and it's so freeing to just make it with what you have now. Like, don't worry about, oh well, don't create obstacles for yourself, because that's what I've like done for my whole life. It's kind of like, oh, I'd like to do this thing, but I don't have enough money, but I don't think I'm equipped, like, to make this. I don't think, you know, I'm ready. And I think just kind of throwing that out the window is really freeing. And I've been pleasantly surprised at like the standard of the things I've made so far. You know, and a lot of that came from collaboration with people who have more experience in areas that I'm not as acquainted with. And it's just kind of, yeah, you just like do it on the fly. Like it's absolutely fine, and you'll be pleasantly surprised with what happens and what comes out of it.